Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Ain Satira binti Solong. I would like to present a research proposal on topic HRM practices, digital inclusion, skill acquisition, and job resilience among disabled workers. So here is the list of contents, which will include introduction to the research, followed by methodology, expected findings, conclusion, and lastly is list of references. So the first one is statement of the problem, which is why this issue arises due to the unemployment rate of people with disability is more higher than non-disabled people, which is we can see more than 600,000 Malaysians are registered as disabled, but only 0.7% of this population is being employed. So to address this issue, this study aims to investigate the effect of HRM practices, which is focused on two dimensions, include training and development, mentoring and coaching on job resilience among disabled workers, with the help of digital inclusion and skill acquisition as the mediating variables, as well as include the impact of managerial attitudes as moderator. So next one is the researcher come out with four research questions, which is the first one is what is the influence of HRM practices on job resilience among disabled workers, and next is what is the impact of digital inclusion as mediator between HRM practices and job resilience among disabled workers. And the third one is in what ways does skill acquisition mediate the relationship between HRM practices and job resilience? And lastly is how does managerial attitudes moderate the relationship between HRM practices and job resilience? So below we can see the research objective, which is the answer of the research question just now. So the first one is to identify the influence of HRM practices on job resilience among disabled workers. And next is to examine the impact of digital inclusion as mediator between HRM practices and job resilience. Followed by to analyze the impact of skill acquisition as mediator between HRM practices and job resilience. And lastly is to evaluate the impact of managerial attitudes as moderator between HR practices and job resilience among disabled workers. Next is the methodology. First one is the research design and approach. The researcher will use quantitative method. It will focus on longitudinal approach and it will be collected two times within 6 months. And the second one is the population, sample and sampling technique, which is the population will be focused on disabled workers and the sample size will be decided using Craigie and Morgan table. And the sampling technique, it will be choose stratified random sampling. It is to create a representative of sample of population by dividing it into subgroup or strata. And the third one is the research instrument, which is it will be in the form of questionnaire form, and it include six sections, which is include the first one is demographic section, followed by HRM practices, digital inclusion, skill acquisition, managerial attitudes, and job resilience. It will be using Likert scale question structure. And the fourth one is the data collection procedure. It will follow ethical consideration, which is the researcher will get an informed consent letter from the faculty to maintain the confidentiality. And the questionnaire will be distributed via email and online survey platforms through social media and Google Forms. And the fifth one is the research analysis, which is the analysis will be using SPSS and Smart PSS software to analyze the data. And it will include the descriptive analysis, which is it will analyze the mean, frequency, and standard deviation. And also lastly, it also will analyze the inferential statistic, include uh, two analysis, multiple regression, which is this is to forecast a new observation. And next one is the Pearson correlation analysis, which is this is to measure linear correlation between the either the relationship is strong or weak correlation. Next, the researcher come out with three expected findings, which is the first one is to study the relationship between HRM practices, digital inclusion, and skill acquisition on job resilience by having a hypothesis to test the models. And second one is to measure the HRM practices such as training and development and mentoring and coaching will positively impact job resilience among disabled workers. And lastly is to evaluate either positive managerial attitudes will increase the impact of HRM practices on job resilience, while negative attitudes may decrease their effectiveness. As a conclusion, it is important to have a HRM practices to enhance job resilience among disabled workers. Plus, with the help of digital technology, skill acquisition, and the support from the management level, can improve the employment outcome for this population, which is for the disabled workers. Lastly, this is the list of references that will be used in this study. And that's all from me. Thank you.